Howdy, this is Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert, a NASCAR and racing podcast. Just like the good old days with some good old boys, NASCAR would be out in Wilkes County to run at North Wilkesboro, a track and area just overflowing with racing nostalgia. Cars Tour would run Friday night, then trucks on Saturday, followed by the Cup Series. The last several years, the All-Star race has been held at North Wilkesboro, but this year, it's a full points-paying race for the Cup Series. Heck yeah, I am pumped. Let's get into Friday night, Cars Tour. Some big names running both races Friday night: Butterbean Queen, Keelan Harvick, Chase Elliott, Corey Heim, plus many others will be ready to go. Saturday afternoon will be the Truck Series turn to go. Corey Heim, Christopher Bell, Ryan Newman, the Rocket Man, Carson Hocevar are all ready to go toe-to-toe with the full-time truckers. Cup will be ready to rumble, and for the first time since 1996, a points-paying race for the Cup Series out in North Wilkesboro. Yellow flag, green flag, discussions with Dave, paint scheme of the week, NASCAR history time, Fast Davies bets, and so much more on this action-packed North Wilkesboro episode of Splash of Gas. Hope you all enjoy. As always, we're sponsored by Magical Travel with Dave, aka Disney Dave Weichert, my father. He will be able to help you with all your Disney and Universal vacation needs. He can be reached at disneydavw@verizon.net. Please make sure you follow all the Splash of Gas social medias for midweek and on-track updates. Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube are all Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert. Now for the Cars Tour recap. First race, Friday evening for the Cars Tour would be the Pro Late Models. As mentioned, a lot of big names running in both the Pro Late Model and the Late Model. Get into race one. In the end, TJ DeCare would probably need a couple more laps to get a good chance at passing Honeycutt, but Caden Honeycutt in that 54 was just lights out. He wins in the Pro Late Model. TJ DeCare in second. Connor Jones third. Luke Baldwin. See him run a lot of these late model races, plus the modified stuff. He finishes fourth. Mason Walters fifth. Casey Clean sixth. Keelan Harvick seventh. Good run for Keelan. Brody Monahan eighth. Case James ninth. Rounding out the top 10 was Albert Francis. Now for the second race of the evening. And Honeycutt was just getting it started. Caden Honeycutt would win the late model stock race on Friday night as well, sweeping both Cars Tour races at North Wilkesboro. Corey Heim would be in the 12 in second, just could not get past Honeycutt. Jake Bowman third, followed by Connor Hall, Brenden Queen fifth, Carson Quapple, Connor Jones, Chad McCumbee, Carson Lofton, then Carson Brown, rounding out the top 10 for that one. Some great late model action Friday night in Wilkesboro for sure. Now, for this episode's edition of Trivia Question Time. Last week's question was, who won the first race at North Wilkesboro? This episode's question is, who won the last race at North Wilkesboro before it closed its doors for a number of years in 1996? Answer coming at the end. Not all the racing action from this weekend was held in North Wilkesboro. Cletus McFarland, all of his friends, including a bunch of guys from Richard Childress Racing, running in that one. You had Squirrel McNutt, of course, Cletus McFarland, had Ty Dillon running, Ryan Preece, and last but not least, and this was, with all the racing nostalgia going on, this was a perfect weekend to have this. In the New England 900, you also had 80-year-old Richard Childress running the number 3 Crown Vic in that one. If you are new to the Freedom 500, the New England 900 events that Cletus McFarland and his friends run. It is stock Crown Vics. They put a roll cage in them and let them go. Danny Stockton, Downforce Danny, a.k.a. Jesse Love's crew chief, was running in this one. Just great racing personalities. And you had Richard Childress, RC, in the iconic 3, bumping and banging. As a race fan, it was awesome. In the end, Mr. Childress comes home 10th. Now for the Truck Series recap from North Wilkesboro. Truck Series will be ready to get their elbows out in North Wilkesboro for some short track racing. Lane Riggs would be on the pole, followed by Carson Hocevar. The pair would battle through the stage, each taking turns leading. One yellow on lap 13, Lane would clear Hocevar, then again on lap 52. Rest of the stage stays green and then is won by Lane Riggs. Jake Garcia and Riggs restart for the middle stage. Garcia clears and leads as Riggs gets loose. Jake would lead into a yellow on lap 119 as Luke Baldwin spins. Ty Majeski and Andres de Pelora restart. Majeski clears and leads. Rest of the stage stays green and is won by Majeski. Chandler Smith and Christian Eckes restart for the third and final stage. Smith quickly again goes to the lead. 58 laps to go. Smith would have nearly a 5-second lead to Giovanni Ruggiero in second. 24 to go. Smith extends his lead to nearly 9 seconds. Would the race stay green? Could anyone catch Chandler Smith? No and no. And for a second year in a row, Chandler Smith is victorious in the Truck Series in Wilkesboro. Moving right to the Cup Series recap. Rain would come in Saturday after the Truck Series race in Wilkesboro, so qualifying would get rained out. Ryan Blaney is on the pole from his win last weekend, but his team makes a steering rack adjustment, and Blaney starts near the rear, or at the rear. Ty Gibbs and Christopher Bell take the field to green, and the Cup Series is running a points race at North Wilkesboro for the first time since '96. I wasn't even born yet. Gibbs clears and leads. Hocevar up to second. First yellow on lap 40 as John Hunter Nemechek gets spun. Most pit and a few stay out. Hamlin and Shane Van Gisbergen restart. Shane Van Gisbergen clears Denny Hamlin and is leading. You heard me right. 2 to go in the stage. Ty Gibbs gets to the bumper of Shane. Final lap. Exciting racing here. Gibbs makes the pass and wins stage 1 by half a car length on Van Gisbergen. Joey Logano and Shane restart for the second stage. SVG again clears and leads. 35 laps into the stage, Logano would take over the top spot. Another wreck on lap 183 as Bowman and Tyler Reddick make contact. Then again laps later as Josh Berry spins. Logano and Hamlin restart. Joey again leads. Rest of the stage stays green and is won by Logano. Again, Logano and Hamlin restart for the third and final stage. Joey leads and starts to put a gap in between him and Denny. 90 to go. Joey pits from the top spot. 21 laps later, the cycle is finished, and Logano is back to first. Hamlin behind him. Can anyone catch Joey? Heavy lap traffic would start to come into play as the laps counted down. Hamlin would get within a second. 11 to go. Denny would be hounding Joey. Great battle for the win late in Wilkesboro. In the end, Joey Logano is able to hold off Denny Hamlin in a great short track battle and is victorious out in Wilkes County. Quick look back at the predictions we made. Cars Tour Pro late model race went with Keelan Harvick. He finishes second. Late model race for the Cars Tour went with Butterbean Queen. He finishes fifth. Trucks, I tapped Corey Heim. He finishes ninth. Cup Series, I went with William Byron. He finishes 12th. Cars Tour Green Flag to Caden Honeycutt. Sweeps both races on Friday. No Honeycutt runs a lot of late model races outside of the truck stuff. But man, wasn't expecting him to win both of those with some really good competition in each race. Truck Series, yellow, Colleague racing. Of course there's going to be learning curves with a new manufacturer entering with a new series, and to this point, this year, Colleague Racing never run at the Truck Series level. They were an Xfinity team for a while, then getting into the Cup stuff, and I get going to some tracks for the first time, but to have all 4 of their trucks finish from 24th to 29th positions, you got Justin Haley, you got Corey LaJoie, heck, you had Ryan Newman in the 25. You guys can't have at least one into the top 15, top 10. You also got 2 young guns that are known for short tracks, Butterbean Queen and Minnie Tyrell. What is Colleague missing right now? Can they find it? Truck Series, green flag, Chandler Smith. I thought that Chandler would contend for the win and be in the top 5. I just didn't think he was going to put it all together like he did last year. And last year's and this year's wins for Smith were completely different. Last year, Corey Heim had the best truck. Lane Riggs used him up late, and Chandler Smith gets in the inside of them and wins. On Saturday afternoon, Chandler Smith nearly had a 9-second lead when he crossed the checkered flag to the guy in second. Really shows that Front Row Motorsports has 2 championship contending cars, flexing both of their muscles. Cup Series, yellow flag, Hendrick Motorsports. Not going to be saying that team's name in this segment, probably for the rest of the season if I'm being honest. And yes, only 6 cars finished on the lead lap in North Wilkesboro. A couple teams or 2 that I could have given this to, but Hendrick Motorsports, all 4 of their cars do not finish on the lead lap. If you told that to me before this race or even any point of this season that this would occur, I would have told you you're crazy. They'll pick it back up, not worried about that. Cup Series, green flag, Team Penske. 2-3 episodes ago, I was saying how strong Team Toyota is between Legacy Motor Club, of course, Joe Gibbs, and 2311. I really thought they figured something out. And after I said that, guess who's won the last 2 races? Fords from Team Penske. They're turning it up. Yes, Ryan Blaney has had his moments throughout this season. Joey Logano, really not too many bright spots before North Wilkesboro for that 22 team. They showed out. Yes, you got Indy this upcoming week, but then you got some good short tracks. Iowa, Richmond. Can Joey and the 22 team keep this streak alive? Now for Discussions with Dave, Part 1. Truck Series, thoughts. And really just an extension of what I was saying in yellow flag, green flag. Of course, throughout this season, the number 1 truck from Front Row Motorsports has been Lane Riggs. Okay, maybe after the first race of the season when Chandler Smith won, you could say it differently. But regardlessly, road course, short track, Lane Riggs brings it. And he's been the number 1 truck from Front Row this year. And Chandler Smith comes in to Wilkesboro, yes, wins the first race of the season at Daytona. Crazy finish, as we know, 4 wide, going through the tri-oval. But that's months and months ago at this point. That was February. Now it's July. Chandler Smith flexes his muscle again. Yes, Smith wins North Wilkesboro last year. But this year, he put an exclamation point on it. He just didn't squeak through at the end and kind of have his teammate open up the seas for him. No. Smith said, "Follow me to victory lane." And that's what Chandler did. And still right now, Riggs is still the championship favorite. No question on that. But there's going to be some competition between those guys as we get into the chase and closer to the season finale in Homestead. Now, thoughts on the Cup Series. If it was up to me, I would give North Wilkesboro 2 points-paying Cup races a year. That's just how awesome it is. And, oh, Dave, there was only 6 cars on the lead lap. Yes, whole stage 3 went green. Little bit surprised about that. And yes, you do not want every race ending like that. I was not around, but 60s, 70s, Richard Petty and some other of the top drivers, Yarborough, Allison's, they would be, just 2, 3 cars sometimes in these longer races on the lead lap. Looked at the best Daytona 500 finish ever. You would never see anything remote to the David Pearson Petty finish. But at North Wilkesboro, 6 cars on the lead lap. As someone that just oozes NASCAR history, that was awesome. And you might be thinking, Dave, this little track in the sticks in North Carolina, I get that NASCAR raced there back in the day, but it's just another one of those short tracks. Yes, you are 100% right. You just got to go to North Wilkesboro and experience it. My mom, she follows racing mainly 100% because I'm really into it. Just like any supportive parent, I dragged my mom out to North Wilkesboro last year. And when we turned on the race this year, she was saying, I want to go back to this track. That track is awesome. And this is to someone, yes, she's been to Daytona. Yes, I've dragged her to Pocono. But that track at North Wilkesboro, there's just something about it. After North Wilkesboro, let's look at the standings. Shane Van Gisbergen finishes this race in 5th. Shane desperately needed those points. A couple weeks ago, after Shane's win in Sonoma, I came on the show and said I don't think Shane is going to make it into the chase after he lost all those points that he probably would have gained from that wreck out in San Diego at the Naval Base. But Shane, with that P5 finish, he's 14th right now. He's just ahead of Logano. Shane makes up a spot, goes from 15th to 14th in the standings. That's one driver I was really looking for, and think Shane now is going to make into the chase. And Joey Logano, with the win, he moves up 2 spots. He gets into the right side of the cut line where you want to be. And this is one thing that I really love about the new playoff system. And something I knew was going to happen, but now seeing it firsthand, say if it's last year, Joey Logano wins, he's locked into the playoffs. That team has been a playoff bubble team for the whole year, and now they just get the focus on the start of those playoffs. Now to what's actually going on, Joey Logano wins the race. He's still 15th in the standings. If he has a couple bad weekends, Logano very well might not make it into the playoffs. Joey Logano and that 22 team need to keep riding this momentum and earn that spot in the chase. And just the consistency that is needed to clinch into the playoffs this year, I think is just going to make the championship competition that much better and be a great playoff season for all. So I know that kind of went off the standings into the playoff talk in the chase, but you got Shane Van Gisbergen, Joey Logano, 14th, 15th, and then Team Penske, Austin Cindric, Logano's teammate, the last guy in, currently. Eric Jones does slip one spot into the 17th spot. Ryan Preece, 18th, 19th, Keselowski, and Michael McDowell, currently 20th in points. Now let's look towards the top. Denny Hamlin has extended his points lead on Tyler Reddick to be leading the regular season points by 68 points right now. Reddick gets involved in a wreck early in North Wilkesboro, and his steering was off by an hour, he said. So, tough day for Reddick, bleeds even more points. And like I was saying, at the start of this season, I thought there was no way that anyone would stop Tyler Reddick from winning the 2026 regular season championship. Denny Hamlin just continues to prove me wrong. I don't think there's anyone that's going to be able to catch Hamlin at this point with just how consistent that 11 team has been. Last topic on discussions with Dave, part 1. I was really going to start off with this, but saved it for later in this segment. Cup Series, come back to North Wilkesboro for years and years. Please. Just went over how awesome that area and track is. I don't know how else to explain it without experiencing it firsthand. But when I was there last year, what was going through my mind, driving the winding roads to the track, walking around the track, literally walking up the hill from turn 4 into turn 1, this is what the Pettys, this is what the Allisons, the Pearsons, Hall of Famers of the sport experienced and went through. And as an Uber NASCAR fan, to experience that was something I'll never forget for the rest of my life. Now for paint scheme of the week. Went over beginning of the episode watching RC Richard Childress run a race, which was the Freedom 900. Yes, it was stock Crown Vics. Richard Childress was running the iconic 3 on his Crown Vic, all black. Seeing him stand out there with his arms crossed, Bass Pro Shop Winchester fire suit on, so tough. And Richard Childress is my paint scheme of the week from the Freedom 900. Now for NASCAR history time. NASCAR this upcoming weekend will run the Brickyard 400. The first Brickyard 400 happened on August 6th, 1994. One of the biggest moments in NASCAR history would occur there. NASCAR would make its long-awaited debut at the legendary Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Known worldwide as the home of the Indy 500, the iconic 2.5-mile oval welcomed stock cars for the Brickyard 400 for the first time, instantly creating one of NASCAR's crown jewel events. In front of a sellout crowd of more than 250,000, a young Jeff Gordon etched his name in the record books, winning the inaugural Brickyard 400. This was one of Gordon's defining moments of his breakout career. Winning at Indianapolis quickly became one of the sport's most prestigious races, with drivers kissing the bricks, considering it one of the greatest honors in the sport. Can't wait for O'Reilly and Cup Series to head out there this upcoming weekend to Indianapolis. Now for discussions with Dave, part 2. First topic we'll touch upon, Todd Gilliland was announced this past week. He's going to be staying with Front Row Motorsports. Todd has been with that team for last number of years since he made his step into the Cup Series. Last year, I believe Todd had a pole or 2 in qualifying up front at some of the bigger tracks, Daytona, Talladega. We see those front row cars really trim out well. Has been an up and down season so far for Todd. Haven't really talked about him too frequently. Was a race or two ago, he did win his first stage ever at the Cup level. he is making strides and improvements. Seems like he's really building his Cup Series notebook with that team. And we know the pedigree of racing that he comes from. His dad, David Gilliland, his grandfather also raced in the sport. And as we know, the Cup Series is the most competitive series of motorsports there is. It can sometimes be difficult to find success. The one thing Front Row Motorsports has is consistency. They've been in this sport for a while. Not all the time they're finishing towards the front. Most of the time they're, middle of the pack, right? They do have the 2021 Daytona 500 on their belt buckle when Michael McDowell won that. They did win the Indy Road Course with McDowell as well. So they do have race-winning cars. And by no means is Corey Day, last year Connor Zilisch, was one of those drivers going to get pulled into Front Row? Probably not. And of course, this year you got two top truck drivers at Front Row Motorsports. We were just talking about Lane Riggs, Chandler Smith. Both of those guys are knocking on the Cup Series door with the seasons and the championship runs that looks like both of those drivers are going to have. And right now, teams can hold 3 Cup Series charters. Front Row locks that up with Todd. Before the news was announced, I was probably more on the thought that Todd Gilliland would not be returning to Front Row Motorsports last year. But that decision and all the voices that I've heard since then, the people liking that decision and think that is going to help them get in victory lane and get more consistent top 10, maybe top 5 finishes, is to have Gilliland still be behind one of the wheels of their cars. And starting to agree with that and disagree with my original thoughts, which I was thinking on Todd. So wanted to touch upon that. And really on the topic, continuing on the same topic, on Front Row Motorsports Cup drivers for next year, Lane Riggs this past week has said, hey, don't leave the option of me running full-time in the Cup Series off the table for next year. I could be. By all means, Zane Smith, he's going to be back there. I'm 99% sure he is under contract for them for next season. I think the one in question is going to be Noah Gragson. The way things sit right now, it does not look like Noah will be returning to Front Row at the Cup level for next year. We'll get into more of his landing spots in a couple minutes. And of course, with the possibility of Noah not returning, Lane Riggs lighting it up in the Truck Series, seems like that would be the perfect driver to slot into that spot, right? Into that empty seat. You also got Chandler Smith. Chandler Smith, veteran in the Truck Series at this point. Yes, he's only 24 years old, but won a number of races there. Won at the O'Reilly level. Has ran Cup Series races before. I know him trying to qualify for the 500 last year or so has not gone his way. But those are the duels sometimes. Those can be unpredictable. You also have a really good option of Chandler Smith in your back pocket too. And on a business side, I really do not know any specifics with how things break down in regards to each of their sponsorships. And of course, winning solves everything, right? But from the product each driver has put on the last several years, also it helps Riggs that his father Scott was in the Cup Series and won a Truck Series championship. I would assume the Riggs name is a little bit more marketable, or Lane Riggs has more sponsorship pull than Chandler Smith. Of course, that most likely will also come into play with a mid-of-the-pack Cup team like Front Row that has proven that they can get to victory lane, as we were just saying. Right now, I'm assuming that Lane Riggs is going to get that third Cup Series spot with them for next year. But don't count out Chandler Smith. I would not be surprised if they tap either one of them. I would be really surprised if they pick someone else besides those two. More silly season news going on during the regular season. Junior Motorsports has announced that Justin Allgaier will be staying put with Junior Motorsports. Allgaier has been with them for a long time at this point and is really the rock of that driver room. And that veteran presence is something you need in an organization like Junior Motorsports that is trying to build these O'Reilly Championship young and up-and-coming drivers to eventually produce at the Cup level. Yes, the last two Daytona 500s, we've seen Junior Motorsports have their entry, and Justin Allgaier is behind that. And if they do other Cup races, 100%, Justin Allgaier is going to be driving those. Also, for Allgaier, he has young kids. I think he's just really found a home with Junior Motorsports. Why get rid of a good thing that is working, producing, running for a championship, year in, year out? No reason to break something that's working. I have not heard any rumors like this, but I am assuming that Allgaier has had Cup offers pitched to him. But in the end, I think Justin Allgaier is going to retire from Junior Motorsports when he decides his racing career is over. Moving to our next topic and kind of preluded to it, and that's where does Noah Gragson land in 2027? As I mentioned, I don't believe that Gragson is going to have the opportunity to come back to Front Row Motorsports in 2027. First two opportunities are with the same team. If he could go right into the 33 of Richard Childress, as Dale Jr. said a couple weeks ago on his own show, sounds like there is a good standing relationship between Noah Gragson and Bass Pro Shop. We know already RCR has that relationship with them. Is that a pairing? Or do they even offer Noah the same opportunity, but filling Jesse Love's seat on the O'Reilly side? Two good opportunities, and obviously on the O'Reilly side, more of a chance to go to victory lane with those RCR cars, and still a good chance to go to victory lane on the Cup Series. Opportunities will be a little bit more limited, but RCR, say what you want to say about their Cup programs. When they do have the dips and bad runs, eventually they do get back up there. And we've seen Austin Hill, Austin Dillon, each have good runs throughout the Cup Series season as well. See those cars towards the front more frequently than past years. Is that a better ride than Front Row Motorsports? I would say very similar. Could easily make your arguments for and against each team. Another option, which would get him in O'Reilly Series winning equipment, again, say he goes back to Junior Motorsports. We know Noah was with that organization and won a lot of races, contending for championships. His time there before he went to the Cup Series. Is it a good rebound for Noah? Drop down to O'Reilly, get back towards the pack, contending for championships, contending for races, week in, week out. Get some of your sponsors, maybe that haven't had on the car the past couple years, back with you. Great opportunities for that as well. The last opportunity I will mention, winning races at the Truck Series level. Noah Gragson has raced for Team Toyota when he was with Legacy, Tricon. Do they offer Noah an opportunity? I'm sure Noah would, by all means, have enough sponsorship to cover a full truck season. It's kind of the way things sit right now with the way their schedule is put together. So, 4 opportunities I just went over. I think the most realistic one is Noah taking the 33 for Richard Childress at the Cup level next year? We'll see how those pieces play. Moving right along, went over the recap of the Cup Series race. I did not mention the outcome of the bracket challenge. Ryan Blaney and Todd Gilliland each win their matchups, and that brings us to the championship round in Indianapolis this upcoming Sunday. And as just mentioned, it'll be a matchup between Ryan Blaney and Todd Gilliland. And looking at the numbers, of course, going in you would think Blaney is going to be the favorite. But Todd Gilliland, the last 2 years at Indianapolis, and yes, Todd has only had 2 starts at Indianapolis on the oval, right? He's finished in the top 10 of both of them. P6 last year and in 2024. Ryan Blaney, of course, more of a sample size at the oval at Indy. In 8 races, he's finished in the top 10 3 times, 7th last year, just behind Gilliland, go figure, right? 3rd in 2024, 7th in 2019. Of course, average finish-wise, it would be Gilliland. Blaney, has a 36, a 23, 32 in there. More of a sample size, so that's just the way the cookie crumbles. His average is going to be higher. But Todd Gilliland finishes 6th the last 2 years. Last year started 19th, 2024 started 24th. So he's passing a lot of cars. And in the end, the bracket challenge does not matter on how many cars you pass. It's just all about the finishing position. Ryan Blaney could finish 35th, but Todd Gilliland could finish 36th and Blaney would win. So it's all about that final finishing position. And with $1 million on the line, if Gilliland and Blaney are racing against each other, wouldn't be surprised if you see some bumping, some banging, a little bit more than we've been used to this year, especially from each of these guys. Excited for it. In the end, my pick, Todd Gilliland to win the bracket challenge in 2026. Last topic on DWD for this episode, mid-season truck, silly season. Tricon Garage has recently announced that 18-year-old Gavin Bichelle is going to run several races with them to close out the truck season. Bichelle is on a part-time ARCA schedule with Nitro Motorsports, driving their 25 Camry. The youngster, Bichelle, has been lighting it up in the late model world, was there last year at the start of the 2025 ASA All-Star season when Gavin won the Clyde Hart Memorial during Speed Weeks. Spoke to him before that race as well. A young kid in the Toyota TRD development system. Do we see Bichelle blossom like a Brett Cruz? And do we see him running full time in the trucks or O'Reilly soon? I totally think so. The races that Bichelle is going to run: Richmond, New Hampshire, Kansas, Phoenix, and Martinsville. We'll have my eyes peeled with him on track. And that wraps up this episode's edition of Discussions with Dave. Now, Tire Diaries for IRP and Indianapolis. Starting Truck Series. Trucks are going to run Friday night at Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park. Well, they will run a short track setup that they just ran at North Wilkesboro this past weekend. So a lot of familiarity with those tires for those teams. O'Reilly, they're on the oval just like the Cup Series. They're going to be running the same tire setup they just ran a few races ago at Pocono. For the Cup Series, they're going to run a new right side tire alongside a familiar left side tire this upcoming weekend at Indy. The tire was tested a couple weeks back in June by Ross Chastain for Chevy, Ryan Preece from Ford, and John Hunter Nemechek from Toyota. The new right side tire features an updated construction with a new tread compound and will pair with the left side tire that most recently ran at Chicagoland. Now, let's go to the numbers, starting with the Truck Series. They will have 5 sets of dry weather tires, the slicks, 1 for qualifying the transfer to the race, 1 for practice, and 3 for the race. With IRP being less than a mile, there are wet weather tires available, and each team will have 3 of those available, 3 sets. O'Reilly, 3 pairs of slicks for the race, 1 for qualifying, that transfer to the race, the scuffs, and 2 for practice. Cup Series, 14 sets in total, 10 new for the race, 1 qualifying scuffs that transfer, and 3 for practice. Now the predictions for the weekend, starting with the ARCA Series, out in IRP. Caden Honeycutt will be in the 17 for this one. Last time we saw Caden in an ARCA car, he won that race out in Watkins Glen. Max Reeves in that 18 Joe Gibbs ARCA car is going to be fast. Jake Bowman in the 20. Gavin Boschel in the 25. Carson Brown in that 28. Seen him on the pole before and be victorious this year. Can he do that again? Zachary Tinkle, good to see him. Zachary is from Speedway, Indiana, so a home race for him. Isabella Robusto, always quick in that 55. Landon Brown in the 69. That's a Kimmel Racing car. That should be a fast one. Thomas Annunziata in the 70. Saw him win the last ARCA race at Lime Rock. Tristan McKee, another quick youngster in the 77. And great to see Ryan Vargas back driving an ARCA car, driving the 91. Now the drivers to look out for the Truck Series at IRP. We start off with Front Row Motorsports, starting with the guy that won at IRP last year, Lane Riggs. His teammate, Chandler Smith, just won at North Wilkesboro, another short track. Both of those drivers should be contending. Now looking towards Tricon Garage, Caden Honeycutt in that 11 car should be contending with both those front row guys. And Gavin Boschel hops in a truck. Really excited to see that youngster. I've seen him win races before at New Smyrna in the late model car. Then you got Connor Mozak back in the 7. Grant Infinger, fresh off the win in Lime Rock. No, that's a road course, but can the crafty veteran Grant bring that momentum with him? Brenden Queen, Butterbean, was 16th last year at IRP. Can he better that this year? We know he's really quick at those short tracks. McAnally Higgleman should have some quick trucks. Christian Eckes, Tyler Ankrum, Daniel Hemrick should all be quick. You got Derek Lemke hopping in the 22 for Rayum Brothers. Can he get another top 20? Throwing it back to Team Toyota. 2 quick drivers from Hallmar Friesen Racing should be Stuart Friesen and Michael Christopher Jr. Nick Sanchez is running the 77. Great to see him. Then some guys from ThorSport that should be quick. Ty Majeski and Ben Rhodes. Now, throwing it to Indianapolis. The drivers to look out for the O'Reilly Series race. Starting with the 0 of Garrett Smithley. Had Garrett on the show last episode, and he was really pumped up for Indianapolis. Can that team get another top 15, top 10? Think that's realistic. You got Sheldon Creed, Sam Mayer, some more fast Chevys out of Haas Factory team. Carson Quapple, number 1. Him alongside his Junior Motorsports teammates, Sammy Smith, Justin Allgaier, and Chase Elliott's in that 88, plus Ross Chastain in the 9. They should all be contending. Joe Gibbs, William Sawalich, Brett Cruz, Taylor Gray should be up there as well. Also can't forget about the 17 of Corey Day. Ryan Sieg in the 39 had a run here last year, finishing 5th. Can he get that 39 to contend? We know he's a veteran. Really good to see Preston Pardis back in the series. He's running the 92. Last but not least, both of these drivers have been lighting up for Viking Motorsports, and that's Anthony Alfredo, Fast Pasta, and Parker Retzlaff. Now for the drivers to look out for. Cup Series for the crown jewel, the Brickyard 400. Starting off with last year's winner, Bubba Wallace. Can Bubba make it 2 in a row? If not, those Toyotas should really still be fast, and we'll keep on that trend. Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, and Hoosier himself, Chase Briscoe, should be running up front. And don't count out Corey Heim. He's back in the Cup Series. Saw Corey win the Cup Series race at the Naval Base Coronado. Corey, we know, is on a part-time schedule before he goes full-time racing next year with 2311. Can Corey get the 67 towards the front again? I sure think so. Then from Team Hendrick, Kyle Larson leading that charge. Alex Bowman should be quick too. Chase Elliott. Staying on Team Chevy, Carson Hocevar. He finished 10th there last year. Can he better that? On the Ford side of things, Brad Keselowski, Ryan Preece, I think should be leading the charge from RFK. And Todd Gilliland was 6th after starting 19th last year in the 34. I think he should be quick. And of course, Team Penske, Ryan Blaney. Joey Logano did win at North Wilkesboro, as we know. Also think you should be on the look for the number 2, Austin Cindric. I think he's going to have a good run. And talking about racing in Indianapolis, the Dinger, AJ Allmendinger, can he have a good run? And those are the Cup drivers I'll be looking out for at Indianapolis. Now for Fast Davies bets. Truck Series, Ty Majeski, top 3, plus 180, solid. O'Reilly, Jesse Love, top 3, plus 300. Cup Series, anything Corey Heim. Or another good one, soft one, Kyle Larson. Top 3 for him is at plus 210, on the safer side. Now for trivia answer time. Last week's question was who won the first race at North Wilkesboro. This episode's question is who won the last race at North Wilkesboro before it closed its doors for a number of years, which many thought were for good, in 96. Who won the Cup Series race in 96 at North Wilkesboro? Answer is Rainbow Warrior 24, Jeff Gordon. Now for the predictions for IRP and Indianapolis Motor Speedway. ARCA, give me Caden Honeycutt to get it done. Trucks, Riggs. Give me Lane Riggs going back to victory lane at IRP. Xfinity, give me the Joe Gibbs driver, Taylor Gray. Cup Series, I really might be crazy for saying this and picking a part-time driver. But with the sampling that we've seen from Corey Heim in the Truck Series and the diverse tracks that he's had success at in that series, and that's starting to translate in the Cup Series. And racing part-time Cup last year on the 10-race Cup schedule, and of course full-time next season. With Bubba Wallace winning last year and Corey Heim is 2311's simulator driver, I think that's really going to spell well. I think Heim's going to be top 10 qualifying time. Give me Corey Heim to be victorious in the Brickyard 400. As always, we're sponsored by Magical Travel with Dave, aka Disney Dave Weichert, my father. He will be able to help you with all your Disney and Universal vacation needs. He can be reached at DisneyDaveW@Verizon.net. Please make sure you follow all the Splash of Gas social medias for midweek and on-track updates. Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube are all Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert. Till next time, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful and safe summer weekend. Talk to you soon. Splash of Gas out.